morning. I need a park bench. I need a park bench. I've been thinking about something, and I wanna share it with you and explore it with you. I met a bunch of people yesterday, and let's see if it works. Met a bunch of people yesterday at this launch party that I went to, and I'm so tired. I went to bed at 2 a.m. um, I'm realizing. Let me start with. I'm realizing there's like so much nuance to life and life setup. Like so much. A lot more than I was expecting. I've had at least maybe 4 conversations with guys that were interested in my situation, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I want to hear about various parts of my situation, my life," and said that they were thinking about doing something different, or so, they were thinking about doing something similar to what I've done. And I wish I could just transfer all of the thoughts that I have to you. Oh man. When we got into the conversations, I was struggling a lot with not just their direct questions. It was the like implications of the questions, the implications of my answers. So like we talked, how much runway did I have when I quit my job? Like, why did I quit my job? Why did I buy a van? Um, what like what kind of end goal, what kind of life uh, was I going for, and have I been going for, and how did I how did I end up deciding like the path that I'm on basically. And I felt uncomfortable sharing sharing I mean, it was like I could share my perspective, um, but I just felt like everyone's situation is just so different. And it was like I could say yeah, I was looking at a year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever, of runway, or I had this much saved up, or my expenses were this much, or I was going after this particular lifestyle goal. But like that doesn't necessarily mean that that advice or perspective would work for somebody else. And I think that's where I was getting mixed up. And so in these conversations, I would uh, I was trying to dig deeper, and I was finding that like there are a lot of you have to dig really deep to like fundamental assumptions and fundamental ideas, in my perspective, in order to actually get to the implication of a question. So it's like, what were your what were your expenses, or how much runway did you have? What's the implication of that? Like, how are they going to use that question, or that the answer that I give? And it's like, well, what kind of life are you looking to build? Like, what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? Or do you is it is now the best time to stay in the job and stack the cash, and not quit the job? Or should you get 2 jobs? Like, why not these are all questions. It's like one in one of the conversations, I was like, so I mean, you have like multiple different options. Like you have one job now, you could get two jobs and stack even more cash, have even less time, or you could go down to part time and work on like what you're interested in on the side as like a side hustle, and start to build that up, or you could just like fully quit and go all in on the side. And it's like I I can share with you my perspective, but I think I get tripped up on like just because I followed a particular path doesn't mean that it's accessible, and and maybe not even accessible. It's the path that other people want or should take. And so I was doing some journaling this morning and I was like, there's just so much nuance to life. And I think I was expecting what's the word? Conversations. Maybe I could say coaching as a broad term. Um, I think I was expecting it to come down to more discrete, distinct answers. And the more like deep conversations that I have about lifestyle, life setup, job, business, the more it's like you have to dig so deep. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I think for me, it's just been a reframe of expectations and understanding that um, there's so much nuance, and in my perspective, in order to properly help somebody or properly answer something, like you just can't you can't say it's not as simple. It's not as simple as just like, oh yeah, do these things. And I don't know, I think that's just a big learning moment that I've had and realized. Ah, the sun. There we go. So I don't know. We'll see how it develops. But that was a big realization that I just had this morning. And the other thing that I think would be worth sharing is I spoke a little bit about like this the type of people in this group that I'm in, that I'm meeting here, and that we share a lot of similar values, and it's been nice to have a catalyst to meet people. I honestly felt like, oh, it's like if you saw if you saw me at this gathering, party, launch party, networking gathering, whatever you call it, like 50 people just chatting away. If you saw me, like when I when maybe Europe, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe maybe Southeast Asia as well. I think you would see these two versions of me and think like this is a completely different person. And I feel like I feel like the amount of socializing that I've been doing, and the comfort I've had, the comfort and confidence that I've had in starting conversations, jumping into groups. It's like it's like I not it's not trained. It's I have been in enough of these situations where it's like, big group party at a bar, at some kind of group where or like a hostel, um, some like social event where there's some groups talking and there's some people, and I've done that. I've been in that situation enough times, maybe like a handful or two handfuls, that I have had wired in my brain a certain set of like, this situation I feel, uncomfortable in, like big group, but like I don't know if I can jump in this group, and maybe it'll be awkward if I join the conversation or whatever. It's like that data that I've accumulated just like is no longer applies in this group, and it's realizing that has been weird. And I think that's why I say like I feel like a different person, because like these some fundamental assumptions are just like no longer valid. It's like I used to feel really uncomfortable going up to someone new and like saying, hey, my name's Peter, like what's your name, starting a conversation. And I don't know, maybe this will wear off, maybe I'm like on a high and it'll wear down a little bit, but like the comfort that I've had, or rather the lack of anxiety that I've had in meeting people or starting conversations, has been counter to some of the data that I've accumulated from my past experiences. And I think that maybe that is a marker of an identity shift. Or maybe it's just, this is like, I mean, okay, there are reasons why this has occurred, and I talked about that a little bit yesterday, like social catalyst, group, similar values, stuff like that. But I've just never had an experience like this. So I did want to capture that. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.